before the loss to the Bears. Stafford is dealing with the back injury and is considered day-to-day and week-to-week. He spent the days leading up to the game as a limited participant in practice. Now, NFL Network's Tom Pelissero is reporting the NFL is looking into the Lions' handling of the injury. Head coach Matt Patricia explains.
Knowing Matthew Stafford, he wants to play. He's extremely tough. He's extremely competitive. And honestly, we spent most of Saturday trying to figure out a way, if there was a way for him to play safely. I mean, that's really it. You know, he's very competitive. He's honestly one of the toughest guys I've ever been around. I've seen him play through some pain in other games that I don't even know if some of the toughest guys would play through.
Meanwhile, Redskins interim head coach Bill Callahan spent the week contemplating who would be under center, and he finally came to his decision. He's going with the rookie Dwayne Haskins for the rest of the season. Case Keenum will be the backup, with Colt McCoy serving as the number 3 QB. Callahan explained his thought process.
We're getting into that phase of the year, November and December, where the elements are playing a factor now. So I think it's really important, to have the arm strength, and also he needs the experience. And let's face it, let's give Dwayne an opportunity. We're at a juncture where we don't want to be record-wise. So this is a good opportunity for him to take advantage of every rep, practice-wise and game-wise, so we can see growth in his play.
And we'll see what Haskins is made of over the next 7 games. Remember, Dolphins head coach Brian Flores said Josh Rosen was his guy for the rest of the season to only change course and go with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So they're fully going in evaluation mode in D.C. So we'll see what Dwayne Haskins is made of, Kay and guys.
Yes, and Darius Geis activated off IR last week.
Also,
should he be on your fantasy roster? We'll bring that up a little bit later on in the show. Thank you so much, Will. Let's stay in the NFC East, but talk about the guys who are in the driver's seat. It's the Cowboys. They are leading the NFC East. They lost a heartbreaker, though, on Sunday to the Vikings in prime time, and now they're in an even closer race for the top spot. So here is our Jane Slater with positive takeaways from the Cowboys' loss.
Thanks, Kay. There's going to be a lot of conversation in Dallas this week about the play calling and yet another game where the Cowboys just weren't able to get it done. Now, it was once again a situation where they had a slow start, bad tackling, and blown coverages. But let's not forget the highlight of the game, and that was Amari Cooper. 11 receptions, 147 yards. And Nate Burleson, I know you love those toe taps. He had 2 of those in the second half to really get the Cowboys in this one. I talked to his wide receivers coach Sanjay Lau after, and I said, who does he remind you of? He couldn't come up with an answer then, and then he circled back with me the next day and said Lynn Swann. He said he was acrobatic and graceful in his performance, but he also talked about the fact that even though Cooper is 25 years old and this is his 5th year in the league, he still considers him a young player. In other words, he's not a seasoned vet. The sky is still the limit for him. But high praise for Amari Cooper, a guy who's played through a number of injuries this season. And don't forget, he's still in a contract year. Okay?
Great points by Slater. Later, Slater. Cowboys sitting there at 5-4. Nate, tough question for you. What is the identity of the Cowboys? Who are the boys?
They're a passing team. As much as I love Ezekiel Elliott, and I remember Kyle saying he could be one of those guys that could end up leading the NFL in rushing, this team is going to go as far as Dak's arm will take them, and that's anchored by Amari Cooper. The tight end play, the complementary pieces, of course, Randall Cobb was really big for them in the offseason, picking him up as a slot receiver. But with that said, it's not enough. I would love to see the Dallas Cowboys incorporate run plays, not for Zeke, but for Dak Prescott. We're seeing some of these athletic quarterbacks tuck that ball, and we'll get to Lamar Jackson later on in the show. When Dak Prescott decides to keep the ball, he's as good as Russell Wilson, as good as Lamar Jackson. We're going to see this all season long. He's top 5 in the categories that matter, touchdowns and yards per season. But they need more usage of his legs versus his arm.
I look at the Cowboys, and we just talked about the Seahawks' victory and how significant that was in the NFC. And if you're a fan of New Orleans, you're a fan of Minnesota, you're a fan of Green Bay, it's like, okay, we wake up, we got a shot at this thing. I don't see the Cowboys in that conversation still. And I know I might sound like a critic of the team, but they have now lost to the Saints without Drew Brees. Yeah. They have now lost to the Vikings without Adam Thielen, and they have now lost to the Packers without Devontae Adams. Like, 10 weeks, this isn't how they drew it up. They still might win the division, and 8-8 might be enough to win the division. To me, that's not acceptable on the big screen. Like, if you're talking about like, they're not that team you're looking at. But 8-8 might be enough. 9-7 might be enough. Fool around, get in the playoffs to get hot might be just what you need. I look at this team and I say it's a B-, and yet that might be good enough to win the division.
Right, Peter's not what's crazy. They're disappointing, yet they're intriguing, right? You're winning your losses. I agree with you. I don't know what their identity is, even like you're saying what it should be, but what really is it? Does it matter? Maybe it's crazy to think that they're sitting there in first place in the NFC East and they haven't put it all together yet. They're winning and losing games by different things. So if they finally get it together, this team could be a different story in the second half.
There's some optimism for that. I kind of agree with that. They have a couple things going for them. First of all, you said that Cowboys are in the driver's seat. And that's because the Eagles are in the car seat in the back. Like, that's it. You know, my 5-year-old son constantly, can I drive? No, you're 5 years old. And I think that's how the Cowboys look at the Eagles. Like, you're a 5-year-old. We beat you every time. We crushed you last time. We're driving, and we're going the speed we want. Until you learn the right to get in the driver's seat, you're there. Also, remember last year, they were 3-5. And they flipped the switch. Like, right around now, right around this time of year, they went from kind of the same thing, B-, decent team. We're beating the Saints. We're scoring. We're going to the playoffs. Like, don't think they don't have that in them. I just think that, like, they have time to get better because I think they're going to win the division. And 2 months from now, when the playoffs start, maybe you coach them up a little bit. But these are underachievers. Like, the parent in me is like, what are your goals? What do you want to be when you grow up? You want to sit there on the couch and play video games? You can. Or do you want to go to college and get a real good job? Because it's like, you're very talented, you're very smart, you get good grades, you got no initiative. So you're running out of time here. I want to see you make something of yourself.
So
you know what I mean?
If you're having that conversation with your kid and you're saying, what do you want to be? And you're like, well, who's teaching you? Who's the person at school? Does it come down to coaching with this team?
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at Dad, all right? And Dad is Jason Garrett, or maybe Dad's Jerry Jones. But I tend to think, yes, it would, because sometimes you got a talented kid and the parent doesn't know how to raise them right, doesn't know how to give them initiative. They're snowplow parents or helicopter parents, whatever the hell they call it now. The kid's very talented. He should be going to a very good school, and yet it's looking like community college right now. With all due respect.
With all due respect.
All due respect. There's nothing wrong with that, but when you have that kind of gifts, you should use them.
Well, Dak has one thing going for him.
What?
His hip dance.
Oh, yeah, let's get into it. Come
Little
on.
Shakira-like hip swivel situation.
Is this a deep cut Super Bowl halftime
I bet
promo?
none of you guys saw this and got Shakira. I bet none of you. Yeah, not to be outdone.
I saw it and
Last
hoped Jimmy
night,
did it.
Listen to this, though. We were given Monday Night Football, Jimmy G. This is like your dream,
Oh, my
Kyle.
God. Hey, move over, Mandalorian. Hello. Look at that, man.
You spilled your drink, sir.
Hey, who did it better?
Who did it better? I mean, ask these guys. I'm not biting my fist over here. What do you guys think? Well, listen, Dak got a little bit more torque in his, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, Dak Prescott, plus he did it before Jimmy. So.
I have on good authority, Jane Slater is saying that Drew Brees actually has been doing this for years. She's been
quarterbacks do this a lot.
We did it better,
You've
Peter.
seen guys do this?
Yeah, they try to open up their hips.
I'm going to say
because you
Dak
don't
did
drift.
it better, but I give credit to the NBC camera guys and also the NBC producers because you know what? That was crunch time. They showed that video. We're all like, what? It's the fourth quarter. What are we showing this for? Jimmy one was on a Twitter feed. Cut to Jimmy with the hip.
Okay, here it is. Oh, here we are.
Oh,
I didn't see these yet.
I had heels, so I feel like that's...
Looks like Garofalo participating.
yeah, good job.
Garofalo killed it.
I feel like we're playing one of those Dance Dance Revolution video games.
Right. Okay, you have a lot of wiggle in yours.
A lot going on. That's
Hey,
right,
who's right?
Nate.
Mike-
That's
Mike
right.
I feel like I kicked Michael's butt.
We'll be back.
to do it.
Okay, we're all smiling, but that's going to change, right?
Damn right it is. Hey, why are we showing Ryan Tannehill?
Because he was
runs?
the man.
What type of week is this? What type of segment is this?
3-1 as a starter.